So we got a lot of news today, mostly movie news, which is odd because it's usually a lot of gaming centric news. But we have news on Blade, the Harry Potter TV series, and also we have a little bit of gaming news with what happened to the Prince of Persia crowned development team. And yeah, before we get into that, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. It helps with the algorithm. And remember to watch the video all the way through. Let's get into it. So we've been waiting for a Blade movie for the longest time now, and it was rumored that the Blade movie was going to come out in 2025, but Disney pulled Marvel troubled Blade movie out of 2025. Disney has removed troubled Marvel movie Blade from its 2025 release schedule, according to Deadline. Disney will instead launch a 20th Century Studio Predator Badlands on November 7th, 2025. Blade's prior release date. According to Deadline, Disney will instead launch the 20th Century Studios Predator Badlands on November 7th, 2025, Blade's prior release date. As a part of Disney's release calendar update, 3 untitled Marvel movies have release dates: February 18th, 2028, May 5th, 2028, and November 10th, 2028. The delay to Blade comes as a little surprise given to the behind-the-scenes drama it has. News surfaced that director Yann Demange had left the project, which will see Mahershala Ali's portray the titular vampire slayer. The delay to Blade comes as little surprise given the behind-the-scenes drama it has suffered. In June, news surfaced the director Yann Demange had left the project, which will see Mahershala Ali portray the titular vampire slayer should it eventually get off the ground and into production. Even original Blade actor Wesley Snipes poked fun at Marvel's rebooting following its most recent setback, talking to X/Twitter to throw some shade. Blade, lordy lord. Folks still looking for the series sauce, riding snowmobiles in traffic, kinda rough, Wesley Snipes wrote. Daywalkers make it look easy, don't they? In June, Maya Goth assured fans that care was being taken care to make a great movie. The script aiming to shoot last year reportedly had Goth playing a vampire villain named Lilith who wanted to play Blood of Blade's daughter, but the movie was due to get a new script this summer. And in July, Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige insisted that this is the most important thing, not rushing it, after 2 years of trying to crack that movie while teasing an R rating. Look, the truth of the matter is that more than likely this movie's not coming out until after Secret Wars. It's not coming out after Secret Wars. They're more than likely going to introduce Blade as a character in Secret Wars and then give him his own movie afterwards. Do not expect the Blade movie before Secret War ends. It's not going to happen. It doesn't fit. The reason why it's taking so long is because Blade doesn't fit in the current structure of what is Marvel. There is no supernatural forces yet that have been introduced into Marvel besides in Daredevil that is kind of teased in the Netflix series, which is canon but not in a way. Like it's like its own universe, I think, and I think that's how they're going to deal with it. But what they're doing is that they're trying to set up that foundation while trying to set up the Marvel universe that they're trying to currently close, which is the multiverse. It doesn't work. It works with X-Men, but it doesn't work with Blade. And I think ultimately this is the best thing that they can do for the franchise and for giving it the proper love that it deserves. It deserves the proper love, and if it means pausing it indefinitely till after the movie is out in after the whole multiverse saga is done, then so be it. You know what I mean? So be it, and let that happen and let it be, because I don't want to waste Mahershala Ali and waste his acting prowess. This guy's a 2-time best actor, with Oscars. You don't waste that, and you don't just put any movie out there. The early scripts were showing that they were gonna make him a side character to his daughter, and Mahershala Ali didn't like that because, of course, why would you like that? It's Blade. It's Blade is the main character, regardless of what anybody says. Blade is the guy, and whether you want to or not, Blade is the guy, and he should be the main character. He deserves the love, and I really hope that they take their time on this and just kind of rework everything that's going on. And yeah, again, this show is not, this movie isn't coming out till after Infinity War after Secret Wars. So don't get your hopes up. Like, honestly, just forget about the movie for now. It's not going to happen. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Which director do you think they should get for Blade eventually? I have a few. I think the guy who directed the John Wick movies would be a perfect guy for these movies. But we'll see what happens. And let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think Mahershala Ali is going to stay on? And let me know if you think he is or isn't. What do you think about this pause, like indefinite pause? And remember, you're pretty good. So if you're a Potterhead, you more than likely know that Harry Potter is being remade into a show, and it is going to expand a lot on what the movies didn't do. A lot of Harry Potter fans aren't happy that this movie is coming out altogether, but there is a report Harry Potter TV series to explore the Wizarding world more in depth than you can in a 2-hour film. The Harry Potter TV series from Warner Brothers will explore the Wizarding world more in depth than its film series did. The Harry Potter TV series from Warner Brothers will explore the Wizarding world more in depth than the film series did, an executive has said. Speaking to The Hollywood Reporter, Warner Brothers Television Group Chairman and CEO Channing Dunning admitted there's not a lot to talk about yet, but made clear the company is looking to go deeper into the Harry Potter lore than the films did. We got our fantastic writing staff in place and they're doing what they need to do, Dungree said. The casting calls have opened up in the UK and Ireland, so the process is moving along. It's going quite well. It's an unbelievable dream, honestly, and somebody who is a huge fan of the books, the opportunity to get to explore them in maybe a little bit more depth than you can in just a 2-hour film. That's the whole reason we're on this journey. And you know what? For the Harry Potter fans that didn't like the fact that this movie is being made, I know there's so many Harry Potter fans that are like, why did they leave this part out? Why did they leave that part out? Why did they take this friendship out? Why did they take this entire character out of the story? And the reason being is because, like, even if these movies were 3 hours long, good luck trying to fit all that in. Lord of the Rings had the same issue. They had to cut out the literal god of that universe because A, it didn't make sense to cram it into a 3-hour movie, and B, there was so many characters that you could just cast and spend money on. So like in a movie it doesn't make sense, but in a show where you can cram as many characters as you want to and it still kind of works, it makes a lot of sense. I really hope that this show is really good. It is HBO doing this. They're monsters when it comes to writing, and especially when the source material is finished. They're also monsters when it comes to casting. I don't think there's any other place in the world that casts their characters better than HBO does. And if you are not happy about this movie coming out, or this show coming out, this series of shows coming out, and I guarantee you that once the show comes out and you can see what HBO really is, there's a reason why they say it's not TV, it's HBO. They've earned that slogan. HBO is the standard when it comes to television of what good television is and what good television movies and shows are, and HBO is that standard. And I guarantee you, I would bet everything on it that this show is going to be good, but we'll see. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think this movie is going to be good? Do you think this movie is going to be bad? Or shows, I should say. I need to stop calling them movies. And remember, you're pretty good. It seems like everybody who's played the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown has really liked that game and was really hoping forward to the fact that that's what Ubisoft was going to be more of. But unfortunately, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown team disbanded after critically acclaimed lauded platformer fails to meet expectations. The team behind Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown has been disbanded, according to a report from a French media outlet, Origami. In a video posted today in French from IGN has independently verified a translation posted by Reset Era. Origami reports that the team behind The Lost Crown was disbanded despite seemingly positive reports from developers on their experiences working on the game. Per a tweet by Gother Andreas, I've heard and read it was the best game production in my entire life. 3 or 4 times in a single weekend while getting information on the game's development, one after another, I was told it was seen as a beacon of hope to create a safe space for people that were burnt out by Beyond Good and Evil 2. The team has been disbanded by Ubisoft. The video also states that the game's fate was effectively decided just a few weeks after its release. The core game development team reportedly fought to get a sequel or at least more expansions beyond the single Mask of Darkness expansion, but Ubisoft alleged needed more help on other projects that had better sales potential. Per the report, The Lost Crown did not meet Ubisoft's sales expectations, and executives expressed concern that a sequel would cannibalize long-term sales of the first game. This just goes to show that Ubisoft is probably the most out-of-touch company out there, and that's saying a lot considering that EA exists and considering what they did with Sims. But there's no other company right now that deserves the decline that they've had in their stocks, and the only reason their stocks have gone up back to $11 is because of the fact that they might get bought out by Embracer Group, that they might be bought out by the team that is now, they have a different name now, but Embracer Group might buy them. And yeah, it doesn't surprise me that this is happening. It doesn't surprise me that Ubisoft has no touch when it comes to gaming. According to people, that this was like one of those games, I always give this game as an example of like kind of like what you should do if a game needs a sequel or not, and that's Uncharted, the first game. Not a lot of people played that game, not a lot of people bought that game, and the reviews were like 8.7s, you know what I mean, 8.7s, like some 9s here and there. But what the game did show was potential and a fan base that was very enthusiastic, and also the developers were very enthusiastic about the game as well, and Sony greenlit it. But the fact that Ubisoft can't see the potential in this game and the potential of the money that it could make in the future because they're hurting so much right now just goes to show you why they won't be successful in gaming anytime soon. And if there's a game that's going to be released on Ubisoft, don't expect it to be any good. It more than likely isn't, because there's so much trouble brewing around there that they're taking all their talent, burning them out on AAA games that they don't want to work on, or have been working on it for so long that they don't want to work on it, that more than likely those games are going to come out unpolished and without the passion that it needs to be made. Let me know what you think in the comment section. This is probably one of the saddest stories of the day, and let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think Ubisoft was in the right or in the wrong for doing this? And remember, you're pretty good. So when the Spider-Man 2 DLC leaks, everybody kind of assumed that the DLC was coming in the near future and that Spider-Man's Insomniac was going to have a DLC, but unfortunately the bad news keeps piling on today. With Insomniac Spider-Man 2 confirmed to be skipping story DLC, fans are waving goodbye and wondering what is next. Insomniac made the shock announcement last week that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 won't get any additional story content, putting to bed fans' hopes for DLC. The announcement came in the same breath that Sony announced a PC version of Spider-Man 2 launches in January, one of the quickest turnarounds from single-player PS5 exclusive to PC from the company so far. Since Spider-Man 2 came out in September 2023, Insomniac has released a number of updates for the game, additional New Game Plus, mission replay, new suits, and more. But fans had hoped that the DLC would still give them more of a reason to return to Insomniac's wonderful recreation of New York. That the addition of new features, now those hopes have been dashed. But fans hadn't just hoped for Spider-Man's story DLC, they expected it after the game itself left a number of threads that Insomniac might have pulled on for additional content, including the introduction of Carnage. Beyond that, though, the devastating Insomniac data breach from December 2023, which revealed the studio's upcoming slate of releases and additional releases of Spider-Man 2's development game menu earlier this year, all pointed to planned DLC. Indeed, the development game menu included what looked like the entire arc of a DLC called the Beetle Villain Arc. What more than likely happened with those leaks, and the reason why they're not credible anymore, is because a lot of these leaks were probably things that they wanted to do. Keep in mind that they have a whole Wolverine game that is coming out in the near future, and they more than likely want to put all their efforts into that. And while it does suck that Spider-Man isn't getting a DLC, considering that Spider-Man Peter Parker was the main part of the story. It wasn't a Miles Morales entry. It was more of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Miles Morales was in it as well. Although he played an important role, it was more of a Miles Morales. And with Peter Parker taking a kind of vacation at the end of the game, more than likely what you will see, and more than likely what will happen, is that there'll be a main entry game, like a small Miles Morales game, the way they did between Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, with Spider-Man Miles Morales being the main character of the game. But unfortunately, if you're looking forward to a villain to where you play as Venom or something of the sort, which what I was hoping that we would get a Venom entry to the game, we're more than likely not going to get that. I kind of feel that Insomniac wants to make this game and kind of just be done with the Spider-Man series, because Insomniac does have ambitions to make different games. They don't want to be the Marvel guys. Not only do they have Wolverine in the works from the leaks from what we saw, they also have an X-Men game that's coming probably next generation. And what they're going to do is finish Spider-Man, be done with the Spider-Man series, and give it to another developer within Sony, and also work on X-Men and the near future of whatever sequels that those games make, and then jump to X-Men, and after that kind of be done with Marvel in general. I don't think Insomniac wants to be the Marvel guys. I think they want to be Insomniac, and that's more than likely what they'll be. Don't be surprised if Spider-Man has a different developer altogether in the next generation to come. They more than likely will probably give it to somebody like Sucker Punch, who has experience with superhero like type architects, which I'm surprised that PlayStation hasn't offered them a chance to make a superhero game, because Marvel's just been kind of handing them projects to make. But we'll see in the near future. Sucker Punch is busy with the Ghost of Tsushima, and more than likely wants to express themselves creatively with new intellectual properties and kind of just try new characters, new things, and finish the Ghost series. And more than likely we won't see that happen till next generation, but we will see what happens. It's sad that we're not getting DLC, but it's understandable considering that they've already given us 3 Spider-Man games, 2 main entry Spider-Man games, and 1 Miles Morales game that was 15 hours long, which I know a lot of people didn't like. That's still a lot of developmental time, so we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think that they will release like kind of a mid-entry game before Spider-Man 3? I think they will. Let me know what you think in the comments, and remember, you're pretty good. So if you played the God of War games, the new one from 2018, and God of War Ragnarok, the sequel from the God of War 2018 game, you more than likely have heard that there was a show that was coming out on Amazon, but unfortunately they had to scrap the scripts from there, and the showrunners that were running it kind of left, and it was because they kind of really couldn't come to an agreement of what they wanted as a script. Although PlayStation and Sony liked the original script, they kind of didn't like, they kind of wanted to go into a different direction. God of War has a new showrunner. Battlestar Galactica and Deep Space Nine Ronald D. Moore takes the reins. Prime Video God of War series has a brand new champion. Ronald D. Moore is taking the reins of Sony Pictures TV series based on the 2018 reboot by Sony Santa Monica. First reported by Deadline, Moore is set to serve as writer, executive producer, and showrunner of the series, following the departure of Raphael Jenkins and producers Hawk Osby and Mark Ferguson. The trio finishes multiple scripts in the first season, but it's unclear how much of those stories Moore will use in his own version of the show. Moore found fame as writer on Star Trek The Next Generation before taking on a key role on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He went on to serve as the showrunner on the critically acclaimed 2000s reboot of Battlestar Galactica and helped create Apple's TV For All of Mankind. Moore joins God of War as part of a multi-year overall deal with Sony. As IGN previously reported, Sony Santa Monica creative director Cory Barlog remains on board as executive producer. That last part right there is what gives me hope. If anybody's going to make a video game movie adaptation, you have to have the creator, the director of the game as executive producer at the very least, so he can say like the do's and don'ts of what you do into like kind of what this movie is going to be or what the show is going to be. And one thing that they did with The Last of Us is that they had Neil Druckmann, the game director of the game, be an executive producer of The Last of Us show on HBO. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen, you really need to watch it. It's really good. It's critically acclaimed. It's a great show. And the reason being is because they respected the source material, they respected where it came from. And one way to do that, and so that way executives don't get their way, is getting the original director of the game into executive producers. Not to say that this show won't have differences from the video game. The Last of Us, the show, the HBO show, has differences from the video game, but they all enhanced the material. They didn't kind of like water it down, the source material, kind of like what Borderlands did, even though they had a really good script and they threw it away because they didn't have the game director on board to tell them that's stupid, don't do that. I'm not sure why they got rid of the former showrunners to the show, even though they were really good. It could be of many reasons. I made a video of to why that might be, but this showrunner has shown that he can kind of handle complex universes and complex characters, and also a myriad of characters that are going all over the place. And God of War has so many characters that you kind of have to keep up with, so much lore drop that you have to keep up with, flashbacks from the previous God of War shows that or games that we haven't yet seen in the new generation, and more than likely what we're not going to see in the shows. It's going to start, from everything that's being reported, it's going to start off with the Norse mythology God of War, not with a Greek one. As much as I would love a Greek mythology God of War, it is too complex and too big of a showcase for it to be a show like anytime soon. More than likely, if these shows do good, they will do like a prequel show, like the way they do with a lot of show nowadays. If you really like the show, they'll kind of go back and tell the story of how it went. But for now, we're getting the Norse mythology, and we got a really good showrunner, and I'm very excited to see where this goes. I have a feeling this is the showrunner that's going to stick around and actually kind of make the script go through. It's uncertain whether he's going to write his own script or kind of get those scripts and modify them and kind of take them back to what they want, because one of the things that they, like I said, they weren't really satisfied in the direction that the show was going to go in. So we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think of in the comments. Do you think that this showrunner is the guy that's going to stick around? Do you like the showrunner? And I personally am a big fan of Battlestar Galactica from the couple of episodes that I've seen, and Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Next Generation are actually really, really good. Nerd alert hardcore. But let me know what you think in the comment section, and remember, you're pretty good.